Relationship advice. Update. Wife had been flirting with her co-worker. She said she would stop, but it just happened again. Is there any future in this relationship? Original post. My wife and I have been married for slightly more than 3 years now. Last Christmas, I found she had been having a long conversation with a coworker of hers, in which they talked about having had action multiple times, and that they couldn't wait for the next one. The guy said he was going to book a hotel near their office right after Christmas. In this conversation, when he said he was looking forward to seeing my wife, she would reply with things like, "I'm looking forward to much more than just seeing you," etc. You get the idea. Overly flirty and sexual. When I confronted my wife, she denied the conversation existed. After deleting it, she showed me her phone to prove it didn't exist. But I had taken a few pictures. She then said, it was all virtual and that they never did anything physical. To prove she was right, she messaged her coworker, in front of me, asking if he had booked the hotel. He replied not yet. She then asked if he was really expecting them to meet, to which he replied negatively. She promised they would never talk again and I agreed, simply because I love her a lot and wanted to trust her, but in my mind, I wasn't completely sure she had been honest. For a few weeks, I must admit I checked her phones a few too many times, so she changed her password, which I was fine with, because I was probably being too paranoid. This week, I picked her phone up because I needed a code that had been sent to her phone number. I didn't even need to unlock the screen to get it. To my surprise, under the message with the code there were other messages from the same guy. One of them was an audio, the second one was a shirtless photo of himself in front of a mirror, and the third one said, "sweaty," and a few emojis with the tongue. I confronted her since she had promised they wouldn't talk ever again, and she said he just wanted to show her he's going to the gym to show progress. But that the rest of the times they talk, it's just about work, and that this is just a coincidence. I asked her to show me the rest of their messages, but she said she had mistakenly deleted their conversation history. My wife says she's going to change this time, and that I never really forgave her and that's why she kept talking to the guy. She says this time she's really going to stop, but I have a hard time believing it. Or even if she does stop, I fear when things don't go so well between us, she'll do it again. I really love her but can't keep living like this. Is there any situation in which this can work? What would you do? Now for the top advice before the update. Dude, you are being blind. He's not being blind, he doesn't want to believe. He had clear evidence they were screwing back then already, and he latched onto her excuses like a drowning man onto a life ring. She's a serial cheater who is unlikely to change, and has no reason to. Who doesn't need to make up excuses because OP is making them up for her. Flirty? They've clearly been nailing each other. Tell her to. And feel free to paraphrase. F right off. Don't even paraphrase. No filter. Just say it. Clearly the wife has no real intentions on being faithful. Even if this had just been flirty non-physical messaging, it still crosses a line in my opinion. OP, don't let this keep happening, because it will. She will say over and over again that it won't. It will. She will just get better at hiding it by changing his name in her phone, or using a different app to talk to him. Oh. And the fact that she somehow tried to turn the fact that she still talks to him, back onto you. That shows she was grasping for an excuse, and that is a crappy one. Not your fault. It is her fault, and she apparently takes zero responsibility for it, which is concerning. You deserve love, not this. You've been married 3 years and you don't mention kids, so I'm assuming you don't have any. Consider yourself lucky, dude. 1. She's cheating on you. A lot of people cheat, most don't get caught. Consider yourself lucky, again, that you don't have to take her word for it, because the evidence you found is clear-cut. She may eventually admit, she may not. No matter, you have your answer. 2. Get a lawyer. You know your marriage is over and you can never trust her again, right? 3. Book an appointment with a therapist. A video chat appointment is better than none at all, and even if you have never had therapy before, you would be surprised by how settled you can feel after opening up to someone about how badly you have been hurt. And they will help you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and in your case it's a life without someone who is pretending to love you, while deceiving you to serve their own purposes. What are they? The comfort, love and stability that you provide at home while getting it dirty, hot and cheap on the side. Again, sorry dude. And now for the update. You were right. I ignored every single one of your comments and eventually caught my wife with the other man. This is a tough pill to swallow, and I can't say I hadn't been warned. Many folks asked me to follow up with an update, so here it is, fresh from the oven. After reading every single comment of the Reddit post, my brain just couldn't overcome the catastrophe and the collapse of the world I had built for me, in which my wife is my love, my best friend and partner, as well as the person I admire the most. She was entirely perfect, and made me happy for many years. I thought no couple in the world could have what we had. We were both very happy for a long time. We were both attractive, we were both inherently good, had big hearts, and were individually wildly successful in our careers. After the Reddit post, I moved to an Airbnb and eventually with family to think things through. It was a terrible time, but a psychologist helped me recover from a terrible mental state. It coincided with the pandemic hitting very hard in my city. I caught the virus, which didn't help. During this time, we kept talking and my wife was very sorry and continued saying they hadn't met. I knew it wasn't true, but was willing to forgive the woman of my dreams, who continued being in the highest altar of my universe. Fast forward last Saturday morning, I went back to our place, ready to forgive her and talk things through in the most mature way possible. And well, there she was, but I was the one who received the biggest surprise, to say the least. The guy was in my house naked, and so was my wife. The guy from the messages, the guy from the pics. The one she said she didn't even like. I caught him hiding in my bathroom as my wife was putting her pajamas on. When I saw him hiding in my bathroom, he uttered, "Sorry dude." For a second, I asked myself, is this where I end him? But I instantly replied, I got nothing against you, because the guy was just nailing this hot woman. Even if he was doing so in a house full of pictures of me. Pictures of our wedding and our families. Pictures of my dead father who would be so sad to see how the marriage he never witnessed was going to end. He has always been the reason I try to make the world a better place. He passed away 2 months before our wedding. I'm sorry. I still love her to death. But I understand enough is enough. Even if my world collapses, I hope I can build a new one without lies and in which I'm not just a blind believer under an altar of a fake god. Godspeed. Now for some comments. Just make sure you don't take her back, because she'll do it again. Sadly, from the context of his post, he very well is going to take her back. His post reeks for low self-esteem. It's horrific what happened to him, but the worst situation here is his low self-esteem and codependency. He needs individual counseling immediately. God freaking speed man. Your wife will never be sorry for what she did. But she'll keep saying she's sorry dozens, probably hundreds of times, to try and keep her world from crashing down. But you will be manipulated no more. Do not leave your marital home under any circumstance. Find a good lawyer and start filing for divorce. You will come out of this a better man. There is light at the end of the tunnel. She's not sorry she did it. She's sorry that she got caught. Sorry you had to experience this in the most extreme way possible by literally walking in on them naked together. Great composure when almost any reaction would have been justified. Just take your time and take care of yourself for however long it takes. I can't imagine the pain you have. OP, very sorry it happened, but it was literally going to take you walking in on them for her to admit it. What she's done is disgusting, and unforgivable. She's been lying to you for how long? Time to end it, my friend. A long journey ahead, but we believe in you. You don't deserve to be disrespected like this. Now for the last story. My wife, 32 female, has been having an affair, and I'm broken. My wife, 32 female, and I, 30 male, got married in September 2018 after being together for 3 years. Right before our honeymoon, we bought a house together in Virginia, and after we got back, pooled our remaining money and time to completely redo her old starter home in Maryland, and sold that in early 2019. We both worked full-time jobs in Virginia. I make pretty good money, she makes even better money. My wife, let's call her Katie, decided to pursue an MBA and started last fall. She had an educational trust that our parents started for her, and therefore didn't ask me for any financial assistance. However, because I saw how time-consuming the MBA was, on top of her already large professional workload, I took it upon myself to take care of everything related to our still relatively new home, including dealing with contractors, managing all our bills, maintaining the house, taking care of our dog, purchasing/assembling furniture, yard work, cooking, cleaning, laundry, and hosting/entertaining her family that insisted on coming over at least 2 weekends every month. Lately, Katie had been unhappy with our relationship, complaining that I wasn't spending enough quality time with her, and not making her feel wanted. I tried to argue several times that between her work and studies, and my work and home responsibilities, that there simply wasn't very much time to spend together in general. We would frequently not even get to eat dinner until 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, and I would either need to bring her a meal to her home office, or we would quickly eat together, and she would return to schoolwork to study or percolate in group projects/session. She would argue back that the things I was doing around the house were simply my responsibility as a husband, and that while she appreciated it, it didn't count towards me trying to maintain or build our relationship. We'd also been arguing a lot about other things, and combined with the lack of free time, would be intimate maybe once a month. But after one particularly emotional, and drunken, conversation, about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, I vowed that despite what I already thought was prioritizing her needs, that I would go even further. I began to take off work. I, unlike her, still had to go in during COVID, or go in late/leave early, stopped seeing friends, skipped workouts, and would even wait until she was occupied with something else, to even take a shower, also I could spend as much available time as possible with her between her obligations. As a result, things seemed to be slightly improving between us. And now we arrive at last Wednesday. As per usual, I was making dinner for us. We have a tablet in the kitchen that I primarily use for recipes. As I was finishing up, the tablet began pinging non-stop, and I checked out what was happening. As it turns out, the tablet is linked to her Google credentials, and I first saw an ongoing Hangouts conversation between Katie and a friend, discussing what to do about someone's wife who had come to our house that day while I was at work. Scrolling through the conversation history, I found more about Katie's lack of feelings for me, and the longing and dreaming to instead be with some guy, who we'll call Luke. Physically shaking at this point, I decided to venture away from Hangouts and open her Gmail, where I found several emails, going as far back as March, between her and Luke, calling each other babe, sweetheart, and my love. Unsure about what to do next, I first took screenshots of everything I could find, then stepped outside to call the only person with law experience that I knew, an executive at my company who I'd become friends with. He advised that I immediately confront her, but first call someone to come over to the house to act as a witness, in case things became physical, or if she might later try to claim they did. So, I had a friend over in about 20 minutes, I confronted Katie, and she confessed to the relationship, and admitted that they had been intimate several times over the past 4 months, both at hotels and in our home. Now completely distraught, I tried to maintain my composure, and asked her to leave. She stayed at a hotel for 2 nights, then despite my protest, came home on Friday, stating this was her house too. She insisted on talking when she returned, and not having a witness this time, I decided to record the entire conversation on my phone. She tried to reiterate that she had been unhappy, but despite that, had been reaching out to her friends and mother about suggestions and resources she could use to help our relationship, even though I had suggested counseling in the past, but she refused. She tried to tell me that she made a mistake, that she had already broken it off with Luke a week ago, that I was the only person she wanted to spend her life with, and the only reason she hadn't told me about it was because her friends had advised her not to. She also said that if we truly loved each other, that divorce was a mistake, and that we should be able to get through anything. I replied that love is worthless without trust, and then said that if she insists on staying here, to please stay in the guest room. Obviously free usage of her home office and the guest bathroom, but to please stay out of our bedroom/bathroom unless telling me first. So now I'm here, sitting in my house alone with just my dog. Her and her aunt/uncle/cousins are currently at our neighbor's house for a barbecue. They don't know about what she did. I can't bear to go over there, because I don't want to talk to or even look at Katie, much less pretend in front of a bunch of people that nothing happened. 90% of me wants to get a divorce, but despite her feelings, I was very happy with the life we were building. We had even been talking about being pregnant by this time next year. But no matter what I decide to do, I know I don't want to make that decision without getting more information about what I can do, what might end up happening if we proceed, and I definitely want to talk to a few VA lawyers to protect myself. We only have one joint account with less than $20,000 in it, and the only asset we share is our house. So that's it. I'm sorry for writing so much. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading. And I would really appreciate any and all insight, suggestions, or advice. I just feel completely destroyed, empty, and alone. Please help me. Now for the top comments. Divorce, no kids. 10,000 average with lawyers if either of you fight. $500 for disillusion. Both with half assets. During my divorce to an actual Katie, who was banging a dude at her work, My therapist said, someday she'll just be someone you used to know. 6 years later I can't even picture anything about her. No kids makes it so much easier. Honestly, that does make me feel a bit better. Thank you. I was married for 9 months in the military. When I decided to not re-enlist, she grew instantly distant. Within a month she was banging one of the next door neighbor's friend, and I pulled phone records to prove it after being suspicious. Didn't have kids with her, but she briefly was able to turn my little brother and his wife against me. They knew each other. That's how we met, by saying I was being violent to her and her kids. Once I showed him proof she was cheating for months, is when he realized he'd been duped. I caught her cheating the next day because I told her I was going to be in the field, and walked in on them cuddling on my couch. She called the cops on me and got a protection order against me, and 2 of my buddies I stayed with, recorded a phone call when she called me, saying I better not file for divorce because she needs to save money to move out, otherwise she'd tell the cops I was touching her daughter. We had the recording and showed my chain of command, and I never seen a first sergeant and captain have my back harder than I've ever seen. My captain was a female and holy crap was she awesome. Her and my first sergeant would check on me regularly, went with me to get my stuff from my house, and made sure if she tried doing anything shady, they protected me. So luckily my life could have been ruined by a woman who just wanted benefits, and the last time I checked, my ex-wife had 6 kids with 5 different guys. Seek a therapist and a divorce lawyer so that you can prepare yourself for the future. Maybe you'll survive, most relationships don't, but you need to be prepared either way. She needs her one counseling and then marriage counseling to even have a chance. Your journey from here is long and hard. You will have good and bad days. She is going to have to seriously understand how traumatic this was for you, and the serious number she did on your mental health. Thanks. My concern is that since she was blaming me to begin with, that she would make all the counseling about that, and not about what she did as a result. But I'll look into it. I appreciate the advice. If she blames you for this in the therapy sessions, then I think you have your answer right there. Marriage and love isn't about being right, it's about navigating through life as one. Edit: I am absolutely stunned and overwhelmed by the level of support you all have shown me. I truly can't believe that all of would take the time to offer your advice, kindness, and wisdom to an absolute stranger. I am doing my best to read every one of your replies, and from the bottom of my somewhat shattered heart, thank you. This has been an unbelievable light in the darkest time of my life. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.